I'm making a mess out of this. All right. So yeah, so the practice, and I'm going to go ahead and send out the exam after class. Next week's class, we have 2 of them, and I'm going to run this kind of the way I run my regular class that we meet at, and I kind of leave. Yeah, I give you guys the exam will be due. And will be due on. What the heck is going on here? I got some weird. What's this thing? I don't like it. Uh-oh. Okay. Do that. May 7th. Okay, so the exam will be due on May 7th, and the last day to turn in any work is May 10th. We have to have the grades in. I can't remember what date, but it's fairly close after that because they have to do the scheduling for the summer sessions. So anyway, last day to turn in work is May 10th, and turn in something May 11th. It's not going to be in there. If you want to hate me, you can hate me now because it's not going to be in there. So, you know, to keep that in mind. So the exam, I'll give you that fast. As far as the class times next week, there's 2 of them, obviously, and they are not required. However, if you need help, those of you that are missing assignments and need help with something, that's what those classes are going to be for. So, and anyone's welcome to come. You're welcome to ask anything. You're welcome to ask anything we didn't cover in class that you wanted to, give more information on. That's fine too. But the classes next week are not required. What would those dates be? Those dates would be 4 and 6. They're for tutoring, but again, you can ask anything in those classes. So if you have something else you want to ask to talk about, anything. So next week they're not required. No new material will be covered. Let me do something here. Let me change my ridiculously large font to more reasonable. Okay, so this is kind of how it's going to be. So today finish chapter 9 handout, do the practice exam. Last day to turn in work is May 10th. And classes next week, 5, 4, 5, 6 are for tutoring. No material we covered. But again, it's not just for tutoring. If you have anything you want to talk about, if you want to talk about whatever, careers in accounting or anything. The class, or if there's material in the book or about accounting you want to talk about, that's fine too. Any questions on that? And by the way, just in case you're wondering, the kind of the reason why we do this, or I do this anyways, it's just to kind of get people, try to get as many people to get through the class as possible. I find that the last week usually helps quite a bit um, to get more people to get through the class. So if you are missing assignments and stuff like that, you feel free to tune in, and we will go over the stuff. All of it, I know you guys already know this, but all the videos are recorded, and all the handouts and all that are posted in Blackboard. So you can work on your own time too to go through that stuff. Okay, let's save that, and we will start in on finishing up the handout. I think there's only one more problem, but I want to talk a little bit about down here, the allocations. I realize there's a part I left out of this. Allocations. So we talked about this before, that depreciation is an allocation. It really isn't to find the value of something. It's to say, okay, it's going to cost this much. Let's split it up among the different, throughout the years we're going to use it. I talked about this for the inventory chapter, chapter 6. We talked about this, but I'm going to go over it again because all the allocations in accounting are the same. That's the nice thing about allocations. Allocations in accounting are basically, they have two requirements. The first requirement is that they are systematic. In other words, they're repeatable with the same results. And by the way, being systematic also means that two people can do it and they'll get the same answer. I can do the straight line method, and you can do the straight line method, and we'll get the same answer. It's systematic. There's a system to it. And two, that it is rational. In other words, it makes sense. Oops. So those are, and this is for all allocations. And there's a lot of allocations in accounting. But any allocation in accounting, it has these two requirements. And that's really it. There are lots of ways of doing depreciation. There's lots of ways of doing inventory, but they must satisfy these two things. Now, there are ones that are more common than others, and the ones I'm showing you are the common ones. But yeah, so for all allocations, they just must be, those are the requirements really for them, and as long as they meet those two requirements, they're fine. So the question being, could you come up with your own allocation? Yeah, as long as it's systematic, two people can do it exactly the same, and it's rational, it makes sense. All right, and going back to this decline balance method. I know it's I'm just looking at my notes here. It's a little, but it is systematic, and that we'll get the same results, and it does make sense in that usually equipment is more useful earlier in its life, and then as time goes on, it becomes less and less useful. So it's systematic and it's rational. But and again, I said they do this for taxes, but just to kind of point out the differences that you can have in the systematic and rational thing. There's sometimes they'll have people. There's sometimes they'll have the declining balance method will be 150%. So it'll look like this. It could be 1.5 times, or it could be 1.25 times. It could be 1.75 times. It could be 1. You know, and didn't decline the balance. So my point being is that it's systematic and it's rational, but there are many ways you can do it. So, you know, we try to avoid people being creative in accounting. If you get too creative, you go to jail. But as long as it's systematic and it's rational, you can do it. So those are really the only 2 criteria. Again, you know, there's common ones. These are the common ones. Okay. So let's do his last. Now we're only going to do the first 2 years. I don't say that in here. I should. We're only going to do the first 2 years of this. I have this in. Okay. And again, the weird thing about the double client balance method is that it starts out with. I'm going to cheat and look what I see. Make sure I do it up here. Okay. So it starts out with, it's actually the book value, but at the beginning, it's going to be the cost. I should say the total cost. So it's going to be this 120,000. Again, weird thing about it, you do not take out the residual value for this method. So you take the entire $120,000. It's tempting to go to minus the 40 and put the 80 in, but this method is a strange one that you don't do. Okay. Times 1 divided by, and this is for 10 years. I don't need a residual value for this one because we're only doing 2 years, but we'll see. Okay, it's 1 divided by 10 years. Times 2. Equals some number. All right. So time for Mr. Calculator. And by the way, you know, for this one here, 1 over 10. If you multiply this by 1, this is going to be, so you can just divide it by 10 too. That's 20,000 times 1 divided by 10. Equals 24,000. So this would be your depreciation expense for 2020. Okay, so here is the doubling. And now we're going to decline the balance. Okay, so 4,000. Sorry about that. All right, so we start out with 120. So this is the book value when we first buy it, 120,000. Zero depreciation. At the end of the first year, though, we depreciated by 24,000. So this is the new balance. And we start the whole thing all over again. Okay, so 96,000. Ah, 96,000. 91 divided by 10. So this would be our depreciation expense. In 2022. Now we're only doing 2 years, but I'm just going to check and make sure that we're not going below 40,000, and we won't be. So we're fine. We're not below the 40,000 yet. So first 2 years are fine. And again, this goes on for 10 years, which is kind of spreads it out a little bit more. So those will be the first 2 years. Down here, these are exactly the same. Okay, so what was this thing anyways? Machine. So this could be called machine equipment. Either one's fine. Cost of 120,000. Let me do something first. The depreciation expense, I'm gonna put these in. 24,000. 19,200. Okay, so that's just from above here. Okay, first year cumulative depreciation is exactly the same as, we only have 1 year. So and I think I told you this about thinking about this is we already know what the ending balance is looked like, 96,000. Part of the that's transposition there. Next year, minus 24,000. Plus 19,200 gives us a number. That number is 43,200. Sure. Okay, so this would equal, and it should be this 76,800. I'm going to check my math. 76,800. Okay. So that would be it. Question on that? It's a wacky method. It's but it does what we want it to do, and it's systematic and it's rational. So yeah, I'm going to do something here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send out the part 1 of the okay, so I just sent out the part 1 of the practice exam, and that's going to be the multiple choice ones. And I should check and make sure that and it's not showing up yet. I may send it again. You might end up getting 2 of these. Oh wait, there it is. I'll send it again anyway, just in case. Took a little long to do that, so yeah. So sometimes Blackboard's a little quirky sometimes. There's a delay sometimes to actually send stuff out. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is launch the poll. There's 7 questions on it, and this is not anonymous. I know who is voting, and so you guys, those who vote will get the extra credit points. Those who don't vote obviously won't. And there's, first of all, there's only 7 on there. So the last 3, 8, 9, and 10, you can put anything you want there. We're not going to do anything with those. But anyway, when I release the results, your name on that won't be by your result. It'll be anonymous. The as far as projecting for the class. So, but I will know who actually voted. So go through and go through the multiple choice questions, and as you go through, go ahead and enter, those on there, and you have to put all 10 in. So the last 3. Actually,
Professor, where did you send the questions again?
They're an email.
Oh, it's an email. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to post them in Blackboard too. I just realized I did not put those in the course files. I should have.
I got it.
Okay, they're posted in Blackboard too. And let me do some Okay, see if you can't finish up in the next few minutes. I know most of you guys are already done here, it looks like. I'll get a few more. But if you're going to vote, see if you can't finish it up here in a few minutes. We'll hold the polls open for a little longer. Sorry. Is anyone still working on the multiple choice? If you already need more time, let me know. You can let me know by saying it or or put it in the chat. If not, I'm going to close it up here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Okay, and here are the results. So let's see how you guys did. And by the way, the extra credit points are based on the group, not on the individual. So don't think if I didn't whatever. It's based on the group. Flowing assets does not decline. Correct. C. Land. It's a little bit bigger. Depreciation is a process of allocating. Correct again. C. Systematic and rational. Cost of long-term asset is this one we got wrong, as it benefits the company. And the key word there is expense. If we, I already closed it. Hold on. You'll notice that we expense it, throughout its life. So as we use it in 21, 22, we expense it throughout its life. So it's over the period of its benefits the company. 4, the book value of an asset. Correct. 5. Ooh, a tie. Yeah, I'll give this one to you guys. So it's actually a cost allocation. Now, it does actually value the asset, I think that this is a technical point, but I think the valuation of an asset that we're talking about is an asset that is impaired. But they generally, the depreciation itself is considered an allocation. But it does, that's a tricky one. And this is one of those ones that goes to the, it's kind of like a CPA review kind of question. Okay, stop that. What are you doing? CPA review, they have multiple choice questions on there too, but the actual instructions are you pick the best answer. There might be more than one correct one. They always say pick the best one, and that's probably where that came from, to be honest with you. Okay, that's probably a CPA question. All right. Residual value, yes, C is correct. 7. That is on the screen. Straight line method, divide by 5. No, 4 years. That's not right. Hold on. You are correct. Okay. Well, that's not bad. Plus 4. Missed 1. Okay, I sent out the part 2. Let me write something in here, though. Multiple choice, plus 4. And now we can go back to, all right, let's close out of this one. I am going to download the results. There's a weird thing about this is that it downloads the results. It always downloads it to the same file, no matter what class I'm in, no matter what day of the week. You know, usually you think it'd have a date mark, and you know that you can. It's the exact same file every time you download any poll, which is a little odd. Okay. Okay. All right. So the last thing we're doing, the last handout is this. Now, I did not put the double declining balance on. It's I don't know if it's I know most people in this class are not going on to be accounting majors. It's good for the accounting majors to know how it's done, but I don't know if doing the actual calculations, how much that's going to be applicable. But rather depreciation, if you run any business, you have to do depreciation. So, all right. So problem 8. $80,000. Is you did not get that part 2? I should have asked that earlier.
Yeah, I don't know if I got it. I'll double check.
Okay, it's in it's also, I posted it in Blackboard too. So if it's not, if you don't have it in your email, check Blackboard.
Yeah, I think that may have been what happened. I'll just get it on Blackboard.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to the depreciable amount. We're gonna do this for 5 years.
Haven't seen me doing my calculations. All right, no, so this will be depreciation per year. The straight line method, this is probably the most intuitive one. Oh, wait a minute. So every year is going to be 15,000 until we get 5 years. We can go on to 5 years, but don't need to. This will be it. Oops, it's not how you spell truck. Truck or equipment. Either one's fine. I think I told you that in, I don't know if they still do this, but in Germany, because you can label accounts pretty much anything you want, they actually do a numbering system. So the number means that it's, certain number, 100s means it's cash, 200s means it's account receivable. So anyway, you can call them whatever you want as long as the number is right. I don't know. Because sometimes you read an account and you say, well, what is that? Okay, accumulated depreciation, the first year is going to be exactly the same as the expense because we've only had it for 1 year. Now for this, the second year, the accumulated depreciation is just going to keep adding up. So what am I doing? Sorry. Did it correctly? Did it wrong? 30,000. All right, 80,000 minus 30,000 is 50,000. Okay, let's go to number 2. Basically the same problem, but instead we have units of production method. Just so you know, this is sometimes called the activity method. There's a few different names for it. The reason I tell you that is that if you ever see the activity method, it's the same thing. Okay, starts out exactly the same. Oops, costy. Hey, that's what we should call it, costy. I'm gonna leave that. All right. So the costy was 80,000. See, if you call it costy, it doesn't sound so bad. Residual value is the same. Oops. And so this will give you the depreciable amount. I'm too far on this. Now, instead of doing years, so we got these purchase, residual value, and now this is the kicker. The useful life is in miles, not years. So this will be 250,000 miles. So 75,000 divided by 250,000. 0.3. So this is the depreciation expense per mile, 0.3 or 30 cents, either one. So this would be 30 cents a mile. And I mean, this is in dollars. Oh, so now let me do that. Okay, I'm not goofing around. All right, so we're going to come back up here. We have to multiply these times 0.3 equals 6,000. Was that 18,000? Let me do the math here. Again, this method is good for this exact reason. Your miles, are not the same. If you use this truck, same every year, the straight line method would be fine. But if you don't, if it varies quite a bit, this method is better. Use production because it matches what your revenues and your expenses. Okay, this is the truck. You can also call it equipment. And Okay, the truck, 80,000. Cumulative depreciation is going to be exactly the same in the first year as the depreciation expense. You've only had one for 1 year. So that's all you're depreciated in the first year. 8,000 minus 6,000 is 74. Now the second year, it's going to be both these together. So 6,000, 8,000, 24,000. So it's all the depreciation to date, basically. And it's equal to 56,000. Let me check my calculator. 80,000 minus 24,000. Yep, 56,000. So that's it. I didn't put the journal entries in. They're exactly the same. You guys can all do that. Any questions on that? Okay. Well, okay. Oh, that's not what I want to show you guys. You can see that though. That's our meeting. Okay, so we just did the practice exam. You guys got extra credit points coming. I'll send out the Chapter 9 exam. It's due. On May, who cares? It's due on May 7th, which is next Friday. The last day to turn in work is Monday, May 10th. I'll make that in red too, just to irritate people. Okay. Next week's classes are for tutoring. No new material required. We will be covered. You're welcome to join. And any questions, it doesn't have to be about accounting, but anyone who shows up, I'll answer questions or talk about anything you want to talk about. It's mostly hopefully by not putting out new material next week, more people can get the material in for the course. So if you're missing, well, just put it on here one more time. You can turn all work turned in will be given full credit. So if you're missing work, if it's past the due date, just get it in. You'll get full credit for it. All right. So there's no reason not to turn it in. It isn't like, oh, I'm only going to get half the points or something. You're going to get all the points for it if you turn it in. All of the all handouts are on Blackboard. It isn't spelled like that. It's not spelled like that either. That's what like that. Okay. All handouts are on Blackboard. Something funny. When I was in high school, it used to be that the typing classes were, oh, thank you. Were only given to girl students. I know it's terrible. That's the way it was. But I took the class, being a friend of mine where, took the class, and the teacher was this older woman, and she was just thrilled. She taught for like 40 years. She never had any guys in the class. Anyway, she would be horrified if she saw how badly I type now. All Zoom meetings recorded in Blackboard. It's called recorded meetings. Recorded Zoom meetings. Okay, so to give you full credit, all the handouts are in Blackboard. So if you're missing anything, it's in Blackboard. It's under the it's spelled correctly in Blackboard. Under the course files tab, and all the Zoom meetings recorded and are in Blackboard under the recorded Zoom meetings tab. So if you need to make up any, and you do this on your own time whenever you want to do it. Any questions on anything?
I think you covered it, Professor. We appreciate it.
Okay, hey, great having you guys. Hopefully I'll have you guys in the future, and great class. If I don't see you next week, and best of luck. And again, and that doesn't be a nag, but just make sure you get everything in by Monday the 10th if you're missing stuff. All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Professor, have a good one.
Thanks. See you guys.
I have a question.